3 days ago that were down at that church, where that church has decided the way that they're going to help the situation is they just basically took in 48 families that basically had nowhere to go. They're literally on the streets. And so they're housing over 100 people in their church right now. Imagine if Tyler stood up on Sunday. Imagine this. In front of everybody. And without warning, he announced to the congregation, as you're sitting out there with your families, that, hey, you guys are all aware of this situation that we have going on in our community. We've been going and we've been helping with some food distribution and some clothing. But God's really called it on my heart that we're going to open the doors to our church. Whatever that looks like, we're going to help address the needs of a people group as much as we can, whether it means building bunk beds in our church or trying to figure out how to feed people on a daily basis until we can walk them through the process of they're either going to become U.S. citizens, they're either going to have to stay in Mexico, or they're either going to have to go back home. But we're going to be Jesus to those people right now, right here in our church. So just be prepared, everybody, because this could go on for a year, it could go on for 3 years. But starting tomorrow, we're going to have 48 families that will be living at the church. Who's in? What would be the reaction? Would the church go, not my cup of tea? Would people leave? Would people get excited about it and look at it as an opportunity? That's what this church is doing at the border. So we had a group of high schoolers that basically was, we did some clothing and shoe distribution while they basically did kind of a craft thing with the kids. Because imagine you're a kid, you can't go to school, you've been in this caravan, you're ended up at the border, you're waiting for a number to maybe get into the U.S. In the meantime, your kids just literally sit in a 5x8 space all day long with nothing to do because you have no money to do anything with the kids. You have no transportation to get them out of where they're at. At least you've got them food and shelter. So our kids came alongside those kids and they just did simple things like face painting and games and crafts and just, you know, took them out of what their reality is for a day and poured some love onto them. So I say that to say there's all these other things that are happening through other people, but at any given time, guys like Andrew are involved in what we call a major building project. A major building project for us is anything over $250,000. So we've completed 6 of those right now. This will be our 7th up at this campus, which is why you see this thing right here. The goal of this up here is to basically be a place for both people across the border, but mainly people here in the border, that basically when they come to it, we're hoping to accomplish 4 things. And the 4 things are basically based on what the early church did right when people were still meeting in homes and the gospel had started to spread. And basically what the apostles and disciples and the newly converted followers did is they concentrated on 4 things. And you can find this in Mark if you want. But basically they concentrated on fellowship, getting together like we're doing today, and doing some fellowship over the next day. They concentrated on food. They got together and they ate together. They broke bread together and they ate meals together. We're going to do that. They concentrated in the area of prayer. They were getting together to pray. And they got together to teach and equip each other. And that's what we hope this campus ultimately does, to where it doesn't matter if you're a men's group coming from La Habra or you're a women's group from Ensenada coming for a women's retreat. Or like, for instance, 2-3 weeks ago now in this very room, we had our first sex trafficking summit where an organization from Bakersfield came down and hooked up with 4 pastors from Tijuana and other local people that are trying to become united in basically effectively changing the sex trafficking thing in Tijuana. And they met here in this place for 3 days to just discuss strategies and techniques and how they're going to get together to address the problem. So it doesn't matter if it's a group like that comes here. We want them to experience those 4 things to then be able to go out and be better and effective in their witness. Along with that, we want this place to be what you guys are hopefully going to get is some rest and relaxation at some point and be refreshed. So how do we accomplish that? This is a wheel. The main little building right there, the big one in the middle is the hub, and everything else spokes out to everything on the outer part of the tire. So what we have is, you guys just drove up on this road right here and you're parked right here. You guys are parked right here right now. And then you guys walk down to this house right here. So this is the only existing structure that's currently on the property. Today, Andrew and whoever is lucky enough to get picked by him are going to be snapping lines, because next week we have a framing crew coming in that's going to frame our warehouse distribution area. This is the first building we're putting up because we have our stuff scattered over a 50 square mile radius. And if I get your address and I find out you have garage space, I'll put something in it, because that's the way we're working right now. We have 500,000 pounds of food sitting in a cargo container that if we had a place to store it, I could get it here today and we could use it for some of that disaster relief right now. But we have no place to put our stuff. So what you guys are going to help do today is work on that first building that's going to be able to do that. Once we get that looked at, then we're going to start building out the rest of it. But basically what we're looking to do here is we're going to have some staff housing. It'll be oceanside. And those are people that are going to be concerned with ministry that directly relates to what happens here on this dirt. And people like Edgar that you're going to meet, who basically is facilitating groups outside of this ministry, going out in the communities, doing the various service projects. Over here, these are going to be 14-person dorms, and they're going to be made for old people like me. So it's not going to be the rustic bunk bed stuff that you're looking like in this place where we have right now, but it'll be more of a hotel, motel type feel. Sure. Yeah, totally. So that way, if we do a marital retreat, your spouse wants to come, knowing that they're not going to have to deal with spiders in a bunk bed, that sort of thing. So we're going to make some units that will do that, and then further on down, heading back towards the ravine, the property goes all the way to the ravine back there. We're going to put our youth area, so there'll be raised bungalows, and that'll be more of your youth campground. Be able to hold up to 55, and there'll be an outdoor amphitheater that looks to the ravine, so they can do nightly worship, stuff that youth like doing outdoors, music and things like that. And we're gonna, Jim wants to put the obstacle course, like the obstacle course. So we'll be building that. So the draft bridge was just a warm up on what we want to do. You guys can see the draft bridge today. So that area will wrap around here. There'll be a lower road that feeds to a parking lot, and then we'll have some future build out in here. These little guys that are around here will all be single-story units. One of them will be like a workout facility. Another one will be an office area. Another one will be for intern staffing. We want to have an 8-month intern program up here that will probably be 80% local, 20% outside. Because what we found in doing ministry here is there's a lot of the younger generation that want to be equipped to go out. And there's a really good, like a Calvary Bible College that's 40 minutes away from here that people can go and get a 2-year degree. That's also affiliated with Murrieta. But what we find is that people want to do missions. They, much like our kids in the U.S., they go get a 4-year degree, and then some of them end up at Home Depot. We don't want to see that happen out here. So our program is for people that want next step. They either have the degree or in the process of getting a degree, and our goal would be to have ultimate placement. So we want 100% placement. So if you're going through our 8-month program, you're going to end up in Guatemala at a deaf ministry, or you're going to end up here locally at Door Faith Orphanage, or there's an inn run, attached to that. I just had dinner last night with one of the Campus Crusade leaders that's leading up for Mongolia, and just building that relationship means that somebody technically could come here for 8 months, and we could place them somewhere in Mongolia, just by using this as a conduit. So that's a piece of the puzzle. And then this center area, this lodge, what we're calling the lodge, which is the hub of everything, that'll be right up there on that elevated point. Think hotel lobby, big, spacious. You walk in, there's places for conversational areas to happen, indoor, outdoor fireplaces, outdoor patio, full service restaurant kitchen, a place where you check in and you don't want to leave, sort of an atmosphere. Because what we're trying to do here, again, is make this a cultural center to where if God wants it to look like this, you guys come back in 2 or 3 years, depending on how this thing builds out, and you guys are here for a weekend men's retreat. So you're here in this place right here. Well, right next to you, there may be a women's retreat happening here locally, or there may be a pastor's, where a pastor brings his staff and wants to do a weekend. At the same time, there could be 55 people in the youth campground. We have a Hawaii group coming in Sunday. So when we leave here Sunday morning, after church, a Hawaii group moves right in here, right behind us. Edgar and I talked about who got what, and he didn't want to be with the old people. So I'm with the old people. He gets the college people that are coming from Hawaii on Sunday.